This happened a few weeks ago. I'm Jake, 34, a software engineer who decided to take a break and go to my late uncle's remote cabin in the woods. I thought it would be a good place to disconnect after my breakup. It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend. When I arrived, the cabin looked cozy, nestled among tall pines with snow covering everything. I lit the old wood stove and curled up with a book as the wind howled outside. I've never stopped thinking about what happened next. On my first night there, I heard a faint tapping against the window. At first, I thought it was just branches swaying in the wind, so I tried to ignore it, but my curiosity pulled me to the window. I looked outside, but saw nothing. The shadows in the dark felt a little deeper than usual. I felt cold, but I shrugged it off as just the winter air and went back to my book. The second night, I settled in again. The tapping had returned, but this time it was louder, almost rhythmic. It was unsettling. I got up and checked the windows. Everything looked still. I tried to reason it away. Maybe it was an animal or the wind playing tricks on me. I went back to my book, but each time that tapping came back, my heart raced a little faster. Then came the third night. That's when things really got strange. The tapping turned into knocks like someone was trying to get in. I felt my stomach churn. It was too loud to ignore. I stepped outside, the snow crunching beneath my boots. I looked around, scanning the trees and the open ground, my breath fogging in the cold air. That's when I saw them, strange footprints leading away from the door. They were small, maybe children's footprints? I was confused. They were filled with snow like someone had stepped in and then walked away, but I was sure I hadn't seen anyone since my arrival. I hurried back inside, my heart pounding. I locked the door and stared at the window, waiting for another sound. The wind howled louder, but all I could hear was my breath and the soft crackling of the stove. I felt a chill run through me, like I wasn't alone. I kept catching glimpses of shadows dancing in the corners of my vision, but whenever I turned my head, nothing was there. I kept thinking maybe the isolation was playing tricks on me, but something didn't feel right. What was out there in the dark? I hadn't found any explanation for those knocks or the footprints. As I stared out into the snowy void, I felt an overwhelming urge to leave, but I also felt rooted to that spot. Then came the moment that froze me in my tracks. I heard it again, a whisper or maybe a soft voice calling my name. Jake. My skin crawled. I turned, fear knotting in my stomach. But all I saw was the dark woods. My heart raced, and I felt lightheaded. I didn't want to stay, but every fiber of my being told me to listen. Jake, it whispered again, clearer this time. I stepped back, ready to bolt. Then I saw it, a shadow moving just outside the window. I felt paralyzed. Whatever it was, it seemed to be waiting for me. I don't know how long I stood there, but the whispering continued, growing louder and more insistent. The door creaked slowly, and I held my breath. What was out there? What did it want? There was no answer, only the steady pulse of my pounding heart. I was trapped between the fear of the unknown and the pull of the voice calling my name, echoing in the chilling darkness. I don't remember how long I stood frozen at the window listening to the whisper. Every breath felt like it might wake whatever lurked outside. Then, the voice stopped. An eerie silence enveloped the cabin. I felt my heart thud louder, pounding in my ears. After a moment, I took a deep breath and strained to hear anything. My mind raced with possibilities. Who was out there? What did they want? I gathered my courage and flicked on the flashlight, pointing it toward the window. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but snow and shadows. I mustered the resolve to check the door. I crept across the room, gripping the edges of the flashlight. Each step felt heavy. I could feel the cold air around me, a shiver creeping down my spine. When I reached the door, I peered through the small window. Outside, the trees loomed like silent giants, their branches swaying in the wind. Then, a flicker caught my eye. Something glimmered in the distance, far beyond the edge of the clearing. I squinted to get a better look, but the beam of the flashlight couldn't reach that far. For a moment, I thought I saw movement, a shadow that twisted and darted behind the trunks. A chill crept over me. Was that what I had been hearing? Anxiety surged, but I resisted the urge to bolt back into the safety of the cabin. I had to know. I couldn't stay inside and let my fear swallow me whole. I slowly turned the lock and opened the door, the hinges creaking loudly in the cold night. The air was sharp against my skin. I stepped outside, the crunch of snow beneath my boots sounding deafening in the silence. I let the flashlight sweep across the snowy clearing, searching intently for what I had seen. I took a few cautious steps forward, my heart racing. Just as I was about to turn back, I found them. More footprints, leading deeper into the woods. My stomach turned. They were small and clear, distinct against the blank canvas of snow. They zigzagged as if whoever had made them was in a hurry or unsure of their path. Part of me wanted to turn back, to retreat inside. But another part, the part that was curious and terrified in equal measures, urged me to follow. If someone needed help, I had to try. I took a deep breath and pressed on, tracking the prints as they led me further into the trees. My breath puffed out in clouds as I pushed through the snow. The forest felt alive around me, branches creaking and whispering as the wind picked up. I felt the hairs on the back of my neck rise. Something was out there. I glanced back at the cabin, a tiny dot of warmth against the bitter cold. Then I heard it again. A soft call, but this time it was different. Jake. This felt different, almost playful. I hesitated, looking back toward the cabin. The way back felt long, but I couldn't ignore that voice. It was beckoning me further into the woods. Just as I was about to turn around, I caught a flash of movement to my right. I whipped the flashlight in that direction, but nothing was there. A sense of dread washed over me. I had to decide. Then everything went dark. The flashlight flickered and died, leaving me in pitch black. I felt panic rise as I stood there, alone in the freezing darkness of the forest, the whisper still echoing in my mind. I was not only following something, but I was also being pulled deeper into a mystery with no end in sight. Suddenly the air shifted. A chill washed over me, not from the cold but from an instinctual awareness that I wasn't alone. My heart raced, and the darkness felt thicker, like it was pressing in around me. I could hardly breathe. I stood as still as stone, straining to hear past the deafening silence. The soft sound of crunching snow echoed somewhere close by. My instinct screamed at me to run, to get back to the cabin, but my feet were glued to the frozen ground. That voice, whoever it was, whatever it wanted, pulled at my curiosity. "Jake," it called again, closer this time. It was unmistakable. There was urgency in the tone. I crouched low, trying to blend into the snowy landscape, and waited. Then I saw it. A flicker of light, soft and flickering, coming from deeper in the forest. It was just a speck at first, but I felt drawn to it, an invisible cord tugging at my chest. The voice beckoned me again, a sweet lure that tinged the air with warmth. But I remained cautious. I forced myself to move, creeping away from the cabin. With each step, I felt the snow crunch underneath me, a reminder of how vulnerable I was. I scanned the trees. Every shadow looked alive, threatening to spring out. I edged closer to the light, still unsure if I was being led into a trap or something that might finally reveal the mystery behind the whispers. As I moved, the ground shifted slightly beneath my foot. I stumbled, and as I braced myself against a tree, I felt something soft under my palm. I jerked my hand back, the sensation unfamiliar in the cold. I shifted my flashlight beam, revealing what it was, an old blanket, tattered and yellowed with age. Its presence sent a jolt of unease through me. Why was there a blanket here? I had never seen anything like that on my hikes before. Had someone else been out here? I shoved it aside, my mind racing with questions. The light flickered again, dancing between the trees. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I gripped my flashlight tightly, illuminating the way ahead. As I moved closer, the fabric of the blanket brushed against my leg, and I snapped around, heart pounding. But nothing was there. My throat tightened, and I swallowed hard. I was getting too deep into this. With my heart hammering in my chest, I pushed through the last few trees and stepped into a small clearing. The light glowed above, a single lantern suspended from the branches. But beneath it, I saw something that made me freeze in place. A snow angel, perfectly formed, lay against the white canvas of the ground. My breath caught in my throat. This didn't feel right. I took a tentative step forward, eyes scanning the area. And that's when I noticed something else beneath the angel. Something dark. It was a small wooden box half buried in the snow. My heart raced. What was inside? Before I could reach for it, I heard a noise behind me. A soft rustling, then more crunching footsteps in the snow. I turned slowly, dread pooling in my stomach. I was no longer alone. I held my breath, straining to listen as the noise grew closer. There was no mistaking it now. Someone was coming. My heart thumped loudly in my chest. The flickering lantern cast eerie shadows and I felt exposed. I glanced back at the snow angel, then at the wooden box. I wanted to know what was inside, but my instinct screamed at me to run. The footsteps crunched in the snow with purpose. I ducked behind a nearby tree, hoping to remain hidden. The beam of my flashlight danced against the shadows as I tried to steady my trembling hands. The figure emerged slowly, just a few feet away from me. A woman, bundled in a thick coat, her breath visible in the frigid air. I squinted, trying to make out her features. She looked somewhat familiar, like someone I might have seen in town, but the wild look in her eyes was jarring. "Jake," she called, her voice cutting through the silence. "Is that you?" I felt an icy grip around my heart. How did she know my name? "Who are you?" I whispered, my throat tight. Her gaze shifted, almost peering through the dark. "I'm here to warn you," she said, glancing over her shoulder as if she expected someone to come out of the woods. "You need to leave." "Why?" My mind raced with questions. Who was she? And what did she mean? "What's going on?" But before she could answer, she frowned and her eyes widened in horror. No, this isn't right. They're not supposed to be here." She suddenly turned and bolted deeper into the trees. Panic surged through me. I had no idea what she was talking about or who might be after her. I felt the urge to follow, but my feet were rooted to the ground. What if it was a trap? Just then, the air turned cold, much colder than before. The lantern flickered violently, plunging me into darkness for a heartbeat. I quickly flicked my flashlight back on, but the woman was gone. I felt a shiver run down my spine. What had she meant by they? I turned back to the clearing. The snow angel and the dark wooden box sat there waiting for me. Against my better judgment, I stepped forward again, my curiosity overcoming fear. I knelt beside the box and brushed snow from its surface. The wood was rough and aged, and it looked like it hadn't been touched in years. As I pried it open, a low groan echoed from the depths of the trees. My breath hitched as the darkness seemed to swell around me, filled with whispers that chilled me to the bone. The box creaked open, revealing old photographs and what looked like a diary. My fingers trembled as I reached inside. I had to know what secrets lay within, and yet the growing sense of dread warned me that revealing them might unleash something I could never put back. That's when I heard the unmistakable sound of crunching footsteps returning, closer than before. My heart dropped. Something, or someone, was coming back. I quickly closed the box, my mind racing to find a way out. I took a deep breath, my eyes darting around the clearing as I struggled to quiet my racing heartbeat. The crunching footsteps grew louder, and a sense of urgency kicked in. I had to hide. Tables and trees surrounded me, but only the shadows felt safe. I crouched behind a thick trunk, my flashlight gripped tightly in my hand, its beam now angling toward the ground. The footsteps stopped. I held my breath, straining to hear anything over the pounding in my ears. A voice broke the silence, a low, gravelly sound, edged with anger. "I told you to stay away!" Panic surged within me. I had no clue what or who the voice belonged to, but those words felt like a sword cutting through the night stillness. I risked a quick glance around the tree. A man emerged, tall and rugged, with a beard that matched the dark surrounding him. He swung a heavy-looking flashlight around, illuminating the ground. It was the same beam that had flickered for a brief moment before I'd found the box. My stomach lurched. "She shouldn't have come here," he muttered, glancing toward the direction in which the woman had disappeared. My instinct told me that woman was in danger, but I couldn't just rush out there. What if he was the one hunting her? I crouched lower, thinking that maybe if I stayed quiet enough he wouldn't notice me. But the thicker the tension in the air became, the louder the whispers from the forest grew, almost as if they were pulling me into their depths. Suddenly, the man turned sharply as if he sensed something. "Who's there?" he shouted, the echo slicing through the cold. I held my breath again, terrified he would uncover my hiding spot. Just then, the wind picked up, howling through the branches and carrying an icy chill that made me shiver. I risked another glance, and that's when I saw it. A glimpse of the woman standing at the edge of the clearing, her face pale. Her eyes were wide with fear as she looked from the man to the spot where I was hidden. "Run," she mouthed silently. My heart raced anew. Where? I darted a quick look at the woman, then at the man. He was still fixated on the spot where she had once been, more focused on her than anything else. I could make a break for it into the woods, but then a loud snap of a twig made me hesitate. The man spun back around, pointing his flashlight directly at me. "I know you're there," he yelled, his voice booming. "You can't hide." I bolted. I pushed myself off the tree and sprinted through the snow, stumbling but forcing my legs to move. I had to get away. Behind me, I heard him shout, "Stop!" But I didn't dare look back. I heard hurried footsteps, but I was faster. I darted into a thick cluster of trees and kept running. My lungs burned, but I couldn't afford to slow down. I had to find a place where I could catch my breath and figure out what was going on. Then I saw it. A faint glimmer up ahead, shimmering in the dark. I turned toward it, my breath coming in quick bursts. Something about that light called to me like a sweet whisper, promising answers. As I neared, my heart sank. The light was coming from a clearing marked by strange symbols etched into the snow. And at the center, a figure stood alone. The woman who'd warned me, but she wasn't alone anymore. I froze, my heart pounding again, this time with fear. The woman turned toward me, her expression a mix of relief and alarm. "You shouldn't have come here," she said, her voice urgent and strained. The man followed my path through the shadows, his flashlight beam cutting through the trees, narrowing in on my location. "Get back!" she yelled, raising her arms as if to shield something behind her. But there was nowhere for me to go. I was trapped between her and the man who had just chased me down. My mind raced. Had she known I'd be here? Was she part of whatever was happening? The man's silhouette grew larger as he stepped into the clearing. "What are you doing with her?" he shouted, directing his outrage toward the woman. I could see the tension in his jaw and the way his fists clenched. "You need to stop messing with things you don't understand. Just go," she shouted back, her voice thick with urgency. Her eyes locked onto mine, pleading for me to listen. "Run! You can't be here." I took a hesitant step back, torn between following her orders and staying put. The man's movements were swift as he cut around her, putting himself between us. "Don't listen to her," he yelled. "She's lying. You have to trust me." A chill ran down my spine. Trust him? How could I? My instincts screamed at me to run for the trees, but the ground was a minefield of symbols that shimmered ominously under the moonlight. It felt wrong, like a trap laid out for unsuspecting prey. "Why? What's going on?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The air around us crackled with tension, and I felt that if I didn't get answers soon, I'd regret it. The man fixed me with a glare, revealing a flash of fear behind his anger. "This isn't a game. That's not your friend." His words resonated through the clearing, unsettling the trees around us. "What do you mean? She warned me. She's trying to protect me." I shot back, my heart racing. I couldn't believe I was defending a complete stranger. "Protect you?" he scoffed. "She's part of this. They all are. You don't even know what you're dealing with. The forest, it wants something from you." I blinked, trying to process his words. Were they under some spell? I looked at the woman whose desperation was evident. Her eyes reflected the moonlight, filled with something I could barely place. Fear, definitely, but also something more profound. Suddenly, the ground beneath me shook, and the symbols began to glow brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. The woman gasped and took a step back. "No, not now!" The man glanced at me with frantic urgency. "We have to leave, now!" But just as I turned to run, a low rumble echoed through the forest and the branches above shook violently. I stumbled, losing my footing as the earth shivered again. Everything felt unreal, as if the night itself had come alive. "Wait!" I cried, looking back at them, but it was too late. The shadows twisted, the light burst with a blinding flash, and then everything went dark. I was plunged into a void, and in that moment, it hit me. I was utterly alone. I felt weightless, floating in a pitch-black space. There was no sound, no light, just an overwhelming sense of dread. I shut my eyes tight, waiting for the darkness to consume me. I had to focus. I couldn't let panic overtake me. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, there was a rush of wind. I opened my eyes and I was back in the clearing, but everything had changed. The trees loomed taller, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The symbols on the ground pulsed weakly, barely visible in the thin light of a wavering moon. I could hear the faint murmur of distant voices, like whispers in a forgotten language. My heart raced again, both from fear and confusion. "Hello?" I called out tentatively. My voice echoed back, making the shadows around me waver. Then I noticed the woman was gone. Panic gripped me. Where had she gone? I turned to search for the man, but he was missing as well. I was completely alone in this twisted version of the woods I had just been in. I took a cautious step forward, scanning the darkened surroundings. Everything felt different. The air was thicker, almost suffocating. And then I heard it. A rustling sound, not far from where I stood. "Who's there?" I shouted, my words hanging heavy in the air. Silence fell again, but the rustling continued. I squinted into the darkness, trying to catch a glimpse of what lurked beyond the shadows. A silhouette flickered just out of reach. I felt a chill run down my spine. That's when I saw it, a glint of light reflecting off something metallic on the ground. I hesitated, curiosity pushing me forward. I knelt down, and my fingers brushed against what appeared to be a locket, half buried in the damp earth. It felt warm, almost alive, and I could see strange engravings lining its surface. As I examined it, I heard the whispers again. This time, the voices were sharper, angrier. I felt a sudden surge of dread wash over me. I stumbled back, the locket slipping from my grasp and hitting the ground with a soft thud. "Stop!" I yelled into the void, but the rustling grew louder. My instincts screamed at me to flee, but I was rooted in place by fear. Shadows shifted around me, and I realized I wasn't just alone. Someone, or something, was watching. I turned to run, and as I did, the ground shook once again. The symbols flashed, and the air became electrified with an energy I couldn't understand. I darted towards the trees, only wanting to escape this nightmare. But just as I reached the edge of the clearing, a cold hand gripped my arm, holding me back. I froze, terror slicing through me, and the whispering voices intensified, swirling around like a storm. "Help me!" I managed to scream, but the sound was swallowed by the chaos. My heart raced as I twisted to see who had caught me, and that's when everything faded again, into darkness. But this time I felt the coldest breath on my neck. And I knew, whatever was watching me, it wasn't finished yet. It felt like an eternity before I regained my senses. My eyes blinked open to reveal the inside of a dimly lit cabin. Striking wooden beams cracked overhead, and the smell of old wood and something else, something metallic, filled the air. My heart began to race again as I realized I was not in the clearing anymore. "Where am I?" I whispered to myself, sitting up slowly. I recognized the cabin. It belonged to my uncle. I had spent countless summers here, but this time, it felt foreign. The warmth of the place was gone. I stood up shakily, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear soft footsteps outside, crunching on the snow. It was a familiar sound, one I had grown up knowing. But something about it made me hesitate. I felt as if the walls of this cabin were closing in on me. "Is someone there?" I called out, but the wind seemed to drown my voice. The footsteps stopped. The silence was deafening, and I cursed myself for being foolish enough to think I was safe. I took a few steps toward the window, my breath catching in my throat. Peering out, I saw the familiar shapes of pine trees standing guard outside. But they weren't just trees. They were casting long shadows, twisted against the bright moonlight. Then the whispers came again, soft yet piercing. They floated through the air like a chilling breeze. I stumbled backward, my heart racing faster. The whispers seemed to echo off the walls, filling my ears. A chill swept over me as I felt a presence behind me, but when I turned, nothing was there. Just empty space and silence. I had to find out what was happening. I needed answers. Cautiously, I decided to check my uncle's old study, where he kept all his belongings from his time as a researcher. Moving through the darkened cabin, I reached the door and turned the knob. It creaked open, revealing a room heavily cloaked in shadows. The study was cluttered with books and scattered papers. I took a few steps inside, searching for something, anything. And that's when I saw it. An old journal sitting open on the desk, pages filled with messy handwriting. My heart skipped a beat. I flipped through the pages rapidly, scanning for anything useful. There were drawings of strange symbols, much like the ones I had seen in the clearing. My breath quickened as I realized my uncle had been investigating something sinister. The last entry was barely legible, but it read, "The darkness beckons when the moon is full. Beware the whispers." Just then, the whispers grew louder, echoing in my mind as if they were right beside me. I froze again, a sense of dread creeping up my spine. Something was trying to connect with me. "Stop!" I yelled at nothing in particular, but my own voice seemed to bounce back, laughing at me. I felt concrete fear settle in my chest like a dense weight. I couldn't tell if the danger was outside or if it was already here with me. Then the cabin shook violently, the walls trembling, and the lights flickered. A loud crash came from elsewhere in the house, and my heart jumped. Without thinking, I rushed out of the study, my mind racing with questions. Whatever I had awoken was more than just whispers. It wanted something from me. Panic surged through my veins as I raced toward the source of the sound, unaware that I was about to uncover a truth that would shake the very foundation of reality. I bolted down the narrow hallway, my heart pounding as the shadows seemed to stretch and warp around me. The crash had come from the living room, a place where my family shared laughter and warmth during the holidays. Now it felt like a different world, one filled with dread and uncertainty. As I reached the living room doorway, I hesitated, my gut warning me to stop. I peered inside, and what I saw froze me in place. The furniture was thrown about, as if an unseen force had gone wild. The armchair lay on its side, and the coffee table was shattered into pieces. But that wasn't the worst of it. On the wall, an enormous dark shape pressed against the wooden paneling, contorting as if it had a life of its own. It seemed to equal parts pull me in and push me away. I blinked, thinking my eyes were playing tricks, but it remained, twisting and shifting, as the whispers grew louder, now nearly deafening. I opened my mouth to scream, but nothing came out. Instead, I took a step back, and that was enough to break the spell. The shape flickered, then vanished as if it had never been there. I shook my head, trying to clear the fog of fear clouding my thoughts. I had to gather myself. I reached for the door frame, my hands trembling. It was time to confront whatever was happening. Maybe my uncle's journal held more secrets that could explain this madness. It had to be more than just a warning. As I turned, I heard a soft rustle from the kitchen. My instincts screamed to run, but an odd sense of curiosity pulled me forward. Maybe it was a person. Maybe I wasn't alone in this nightmare. I stepped cautiously into the room, my heart racing even faster. The kitchen felt colder than the rest of the cabin. A single light flickered above, casting eerie shadows over the granite counters. Slowly, I walked closer, my breath hitching as I saw the object on the floor. It was my uncle's old wooden box, the one he always kept locked. The lid was ajar and bits of paper spilled out. I knelt down, shaking as I sifted through them. Most were handwritten notes, some faded with time, but others were fresh, as if they had just been written. That's when I found it, a drawing of the very symbol I had seen in the journal. Below it, in shaky handwriting, it read, It comes for what it craves. My stomach twisted. What did that mean? Suddenly, I heard the front door creak open, sending chills down my spine. I whirled around, expecting the worst. But no one was there, just the night's cold breath blowing in. Then I looked back at the kitchen, and that's when I saw it. A figure standing in the doorway, shrouded in shadow, watching me. My heart felt like it had stopped. Everything inside me screamed to run, but my feet felt glued to the ground. "Who are you?" I managed to whisper, my voice barely breaking the silence. The figure didn't respond but stepped closer, and I realized with horror, it was not alone. The whispers crescendoed around me, pulling me toward a truth that I was not ready to face. The figure stepped forward, becoming clearer under the flickering kitchen light. It was a child, small and fragile in the dimness. With wide eyes and a ghostly pallor, the girl looked almost ethereal. "Jake," she whispered, her voice breaking like glass. "You have to come with us." I felt a cold wash over me, disbelief mingling with a deepening fear. "Who are you?" I stammered, using all the strength I could muster to keep my voice steady. I had a sudden thought that maybe, just maybe, she was the source of all the whispers, the one who had been calling my name all along. She took another hesitant step, and I noticed her footprints trailing behind her, leaving impressions on the floor despite the warmth of the cabin. For a moment, clarity fought to break through the cloud of my terror, as I remembered those footprints outside, the same small size. "Please, Jake. They're coming." "The darkness," she urged, glancing nervously toward the doorway, as if expecting something or someone to follow her. My mind raced. What was I supposed to do? There was so much I didn't understand. "What darkness? What do you want from me?" I asked, hoping for answers, yet bracing for the worst. "They just want—" she began, but her eyes shifted again to the door, and panic creased her brow. "You have to trust me. We have to leave before it's too late." I felt my resolve weakening. Everything inside me screamed to flee, yet the urgency in her voice tugged on my heart. "Where do we go? What do you mean, leave?" Before she could respond, a shadow loomed just outside the kitchen, a heavy silhouette filled with menace. The girl's face drained of color. "It's here," she hissed, backing away. I turned to the door, and just as I did, the air seemed to compress around us. The whispers sharpened into an anguished cacophony, swirling like a tempest. In a reckless flood of adrenaline, I lunged forward, grabbing the girl's hand. "No!" she cried, but I tugged her with me, toward the back door that led to the woods. Outside was dark and filled with the bitter scent of snow. I could feel the weight of unseen eyes pressing in from all directions. "Run!" I shouted, pulling her into the night. We bolted into the mouth of the darkness, the moon offering scant illumination. Behind us, the cabin seemed to pulse with the energy of whatever had been unleashed, its shadows undulating as if alive. The girl kept glancing back. "We have to keep moving," she urged. "They won't stop until they get what they want." "Who?" I panted, struggling to keep pace. "What is it that they want?" "They want you. Your light. It's part of the deal." A sickening realization washed over me, mingling with fear and confusion. Was my uncle's research not just simple curiosity, but a catalyst for something vile? Had he traded for knowledge at a cost too great to bear? As we pressed deeper into the woods, the whispers grew louder, reverberating through the trees. Clarity faltered, replaced by an overwhelming instinct to escape. The crunch of snow underfoot coupled with the hushed murmurs bound me to an invisible threat. The very forest felt like a trap. Then I heard it, a voice, low and unforgiving, rising above the whispers. "Jake!" It called my name, sinister and seductive, breaking through the frantic atmosphere. "Come back!" "No!" I shouted, the sound bursting forth from a place of panic. I felt the girl's grip tighten, fear coursing through her tiny frame. But I refused to let the darkness pull me back. I had no choice but to trust this girl, whoever she was. We pushed onward, twisting and turning through the trees, for who knew what might be lurking only a few breaths behind. The cold air bit into my skin, but I pressed on, fighting the immensity of the shadows closing in. The further we moved, the more the whispers transformed into a tempest of thought, like 1,000 voices attempting to drown me. A swell of panic threatened to suck me down, but I fought against it, stumbling only slightly as I navigated the thick underbrush. Suddenly, the girl stopped, pointing toward a faint glow cutting through the blackness. "There! We have to reach it!" she cried with urgency. It was a clearing, bright and alive, a stark contrast to the uneven darkness surrounding us. A glimmer of hope ignited in my chest. I pulled her along, moving faster than I thought possible, a single-minded determination propelling us. When we reached the edge of the clearing, the light expanded, revealing the ancient symbols from the cabin, glowing softly like celestial stars floating close above the ground. They flickered as we stepped onto the cool earth, their glow almost welcoming, but I could still sense the heavy presence behind us. The whispers roared louder than ever, as if they were furious that we had escaped. "Jake!" The voice rang again, sharper this time, laced with anger and fervor. "Don't look back," the girl warned, but I couldn't help it. I turned just in time to see a shadow darting toward us, dark and determined to reclaim what it had lost. Then the clearing erupted with light, and I felt the warmth wash over me. The symbols pulsed with energy, and the whispers filled the air with harmonies, a lure of protection perhaps. I shut my eyes against the brilliance, holding on to the girl's hand tightly, fearing the moment it might slip away. Then silence, stifling, and complete. I opened my eyes, expecting to find the darkness, but instead, I stood alone in the clearing, the girl gone. The light remained, pulsing softly, as if bathing the world in an otherworldly glow. Breathless, I staggered back, confusion shrouding me. Had she really been there? Was it just a chance encounter with a lost spirit, or had I crossed a line between the known and the unexplainable? I turned to look back at the path we had taken, a path now swallowed by shadows. The whispers faded, leaving only silence in their wake. I had escaped, yes, but at what cost? There were questions I couldn't answer. Echoes of things unseen lingered in the edges of my mind, fleeting and elusive. As I made my way out of the woods, I swore I could still hear her voice in the whispering winds. Jake. And I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lay hidden beneath the surface of this world was still watching, still waiting for a moment to reclaim what had been lost.